Gina from orchidandopal.com, and I'm back today with some finished pieces. These are some of my favorite videos to do where I show you what I've made from some of the beads and findings that have come in subscription boxes. So all that you're going to see today has been inspired by the beads and findings that came in the July 2019 bargain bead box. If you hadn't seen that video, and if you're new to that subscription, I will try to leave that link in the corner up there so you can check it out. But basically the theme of the box was very beachy and ocean inspired, and 90% of the things that you'll see in the jewelry that I made today are from that box. The other 10%ish is from my own personal stash, and I hope that this provides you with maybe a little bit of inspiration on what you might be able to do if you've also gotten this subscription box, or maybe you have some similar items in your stash already. As you can see, the first thing I have here is an anklet. So I talked about anklets in that unboxing video and how I just don't see them as much as I used to, and I think they're so cute. And the beachy theme of the box really inspired me to make an anklet out of the contents. And I have to say, I've been having a lot of fun wearing this anklet around, actually. We have these white shell beads here. We have these turquoise starfish, imitation turquoise that they sent, and they sent a lot of them. They had also sent these cute little antique brass starfish charms. The findings in the box, if you'll recall, were all antique brass. It was really a nice, elegant twist to a beachy theme, which I really appreciated. I added some spacer beads from my stash. These bead caps came in the box, and even this toggle clasp that you see here came in the box. The last thing I want to point out are these little glass seashell beads. These actually came from a dollar bead box over a year ago. I've had these little guys in my stash for a long time, but I thought the color was perfect with these turquoise starfish, and of course the theme. You can't go wrong with adding some shells. So that was the first thing I was inspired to make. Just a lot of fun. I'm saving my favorite thing for last, by the way. So if you're curious as to what that is, definitely stay tuned to the end of the video. Next, going along with our starfish theme, I made this wire wrapped loop necklace. They sent so many of these turquoise starfish and so many of these little starfish charms. I thought, what in the world am I going to do with all these starfish? So I decided to just go with a design that was heavy in beads, especially if you want to use the same particular bead. And I just did some basic wire wrapped loops where I dangled the two starfish together and then attached them to the antique brass chain that they provided. And then they also provided some of these little crystals, and then periodically along the front of the necklace I just added those little crystals for some extra interest. So there's a lot of movement to this necklace. It's actually really cute on. I also added a little starfish charm embellishment to the end, to the extender chain. And there is another look at the front of the necklace. And it really just ended up being a great way to use up all those starfish beads. Not that I necessarily needed to use them up, but the charms in particular, I just don't go through charms as often. So this was a great way to use a lot of charms in one project. Next, you'll recall that we got these really nice Lampwork beads. We have a little ocean theme going on here with the starfish and our little sea life there, and it looks like the ocean, a wave, some sea foam in the background. And they had also sent us 4 of these charms. It was quite a charm heavy box, I guess, for July. But they're actually double-sided, and they're 2 different designs on each side, which I really liked. And at first I was going to take one of these Lampwork beads and turn it into a pendant and just do a necklace out of it. Then I would have 1 Lampwork bead left over. But then I changed my mind. I decided to do some earrings, really show off the design of these beads. And I had them in a more complicated, more bead-heavy design at first, but it just was too much. So I ended up taking them all apart and simply adding these charms at the bottom. And I really like how simple and elegant they look, while also showing off the beautiful artwork that is these Lampwork beads. So there's one more look at these earrings, and then to go along with the earring direction that we're going in, I have my other pair of earrings that I made from the contents of the box. So we'd gotten these gorgeous gold electroplated lava beads that I actually really like quite a bit, and they do look beautiful with the antique brass or antique bronze findings and beads that they sent as well. I decided to go ahead and use those other 2 little charms that they sent, as well as 2 of these little starfish beads, and then 2 more of the little shell beads. And I just used graduated segments of chain here, the longest for the charms, and then I used a shorter segment and wire wrapped a little shell bead there, and then on my shortest length I simply wire wrapped one of the starfish beads directly onto the loop below one of the lava beads. So I really like all the movement in these earrings as well, and I like how elegant they look using the similar tones of metal and then just one little pop of this cream color that also has a little bit of the tan shades that match the metal components. So I actually made this pair of earrings first, but then I made a necklace that really looks nice with it, I think. And that is this necklace right here. So for this necklace, I used the rest of these lava beads evenly distributed with these antique brass starfish. And then I also used some very similar colored seed beads. They're actually called Montana Gold. They're the Toho brand that end up really matching the antique brass or bronze very well. And I've made a lot of similar necklace designs with chain in between, but this time I just thought I'd do something different with the seed beads. And then I added these little spacers on either side just to add an additional size detail on either side of these little beads here, and just space out some of those seed beads a little bit more, really giving the focus on these special larger beads. And then again, I just used one of these little starfish beads right here as an embellishment on the extender chain. And I love how it's beachy, but it's elegant. Like, you could almost wear this with anything because it doesn't really scream tropical or ocean, even though it's got the little starfish in it. So I was really pleased with how that one came out. Next up, you'll recall that we had gotten two of these little cowrie shells that you really could have used in a variety of ways. You could use it as a pendant, you could use it as a bead. I'm using them here as connectors, and I think I said that in the video that you could use it as a connector because you can see it's got this pretty nice wide hole going through the middle of it. So it allowed me to easily connect two strands to the front and then a nice chunky chain on the back. And these right here in that beautiful teal, these are dyed quartz beads. I kept it pretty simple. I just used the dyed quartz, but then added in the antique brass finding. So some more spacers for my stash, but these bead caps were from the box, and then I just added some seed beads in my stash to just space those apart a little bit so the front of this necklace would lay a little bit better. And then I had actually run out of the smaller chain that they provided, so I just went through my stash and found this chunkier chain, which I actually like a lot with the size of these beads up front. And even with using all those starfish charms in the other necklace, I still had another one to use as an embellishment on this extender chain. Next up, you may recall that we had gotten this hand-carved starfish shell pendant, so of course I wanted to make this the focal of this next necklace, but I also thought it'd be interesting to add the toggle clasp on the front to do something a little different. And then I added a lot of these crystal beads in to give it more of a antique type look and really focus on the hardware of the necklace as well and how it contrasts with this carved shell. So here is the rest of the necklace. Going up, you can see I used a lot more of those little crystal beads, and then I added in some of those little square crystal beads. I added in some more shell beads because I felt that they went really well with these starfish, and then just used a nice variety going up. I did bring in two more of these starfish beads, these antique brass ones, because I wanted to not just have the starfish at the bottom, but also kind of bring that up the chain as well. And then there is a look at the rest of the necklace. So this is the portion here that kind of sits around the back of the neck, and then this is what you'd see around the front of the neck and hanging down. So it's kind of hard to get this all in the frame here, but that's an idea of what you'd see if you're looking at the front of the necklace. And then there it is, just going around the back, those pretty sparkly crystals. And then again, just added some spacers from my stash and then the bead caps from the box. And then finally, this is my very last piece that I made from the collection. This is an original design, and that's why this is one of my favorite pieces, because it did take me about a half a day to spin to really make this design work. And I went through a lot of trial and error and putting things together, taking it apart, until finally I was satisfied with the results. And it's also a favorite because I love bead weaving and I love coming up with original designs that I can then come back and do tutorials on. So I will be doing a tutorial on this necklace necklace in the future, so stay tuned for that if you are interested. But I thought it was a really cool way to showcase these 6mm round beads, and I know we all have a lot of 6mm round beads in our stash, whether they're pearls or shell beads like these or other gemstone beads. I also added these little peach rondelles that they sent, and then some more of those little crystals. And then as you can see, I just used 2 different size Montana gold colored Toho seed beads from my stash. Those are the kind that are very uniform. They're Japanese, one of my favorites to work with. And then I did use some of the chain they sent on the back of the necklace. Here's a look at what the bead weaving looks like on the back. You can see that for this design, the round beads are actually purposefully pushed to the front. And that's something that I was really trying to do, is I was trying to make it so that if you did wear a type of beading like this, it would push those round beads to the front and lay nice and flat on the neck. So like I said, just one of my favorites that came out of this box, just because of the time that I spent trying to develop it and get it just right. And things don't always work out, but this one worked out really well. And I can't wait to come back and do the tutorial on it. So that's why I've said time and time again with these subscription boxes that I unbox, I love getting them, not just because it's a fun surprise in the mail, but because they inspire me to make things that I probably wouldn't have ordinarily made. They really push me creatively more than anything else does. And when you've been beading a long time or doing anything a long time, it's nice to really try to push yourself to think outside the box, so to speak, and do something different than you're used to. So that's everything that I have to share with you guys from the July 2019 bargain bead box. I love coming back to be able to share these with you, and I really appreciate you guys watching. And like I've said before, I'm not doing these to show off what I've made. I'm doing these because I know I always love to see what other people have made from the same materials. And I think it's a fun way to inspire each other and maybe help each other out, especially if you're kind of in a place where you're a little stuck and you don't know what to do with what you receive. So maybe something here will give you an idea, or maybe you'll take an idea you've seen here today and do something totally different with it. And that's what it's all about. It's all about having fun. So thank you guys so much for being here for another finished jewelry update. I hope you really enjoyed it. Feel free to leave me a comment or question down below, because you know I always love to hear from you. Stay tuned for lots more beading fun. I do have a couple more unboxings coming your way in the next few days, so stay tuned for that, as well as more tutorials and finished jewelry updates. So I hope you guys have a fabulous rest of your day, and as always, happy beading. If you enjoyed this video, I'd love for you to give it a big thumbs up. Also, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified of my latest videos. Check out the information section under the video for links to my social media handles and other helpful info. And feel free to check out my shop at orchidandopal.com. Thanks for watching.